I get a lot of questions about what I use for YouTube, and I figure I should tell you guys. If you see someone asking me, link them this video because that'll pretty much answer all of their questions, at least. It'll answer all their questions for what I'm using right at this moment. There's been other tutorials floating around, but I didn't feel like they were fully all-encompassing, so I want to make something that anyone can get their start with. Obviously, I don't know everything about making content, so if you make something completely different than what I cover here, I'm sorry I can't do a whole lot to help you. This is mainly going to focus on how I make videos, which certainly isn't for everyone. However, I will be covering information that could help general content creators, not just animators. I'll also be linking some supplemental info on how to use various things I'm mentioning here. I don't know everything as much as I wish I could, so keep that in mind as we move forward. Essentially, I'm here to cover the basics. For in-depth questions, I'll be referring to other things, as I can't possibly cover everything in this video. Okay, so we're gonna start with equipment. So for recording audio, I currently use a Scarlett Studio mic, but if you're just starting off, there's no need to go overkill with the mic. Most people I know use either a Blue Snowball or Blue Yeti. Both are pretty good budget microphones, but they are certainly not your only option for audio. If you have a laptop, you'll likely have a mic built in on board. It probably won't sound great, but it's free, so that's nice. If you don't have a microphone built in, there are some really affordable options for audio. Be aware though, you want to make sure any mic you get for a computer is a USB mic, otherwise you'll need an audio interface and those cost money. Another solid option for recording is your phone. I've had a bit of trouble getting things to transfer from iPhones to a computer, but if you have an Android, uploading and recording is much easier. You can always record it as a video and just use the sound if need be. Gaming headsets will also have a typically okay-ish microphone on them. On the rare occasion I need to film some stuff, I use my Nikon D3300 camera. You don't need this nice of a camera, that's just what I happen to have. I'd recommend using a phone at first, as they usually have pretty good video. But if you want to find some cheap cameras, I'd recommend looking around on Amazon for some good deals. Be sure you look up the camera before you buy it though, don't want to buy garbage. If you're looking for webcams, Logitech has a bunch of great options for you. I personally use the HD webcam C525, but I know people that use the C920, and they also have a 4K resolution one too. Traditionally, webcams don't have the best audio, so I wouldn't rely on them for your sound. I'd still use your other mic. You'll also want to make sure you have pretty decent lighting around you, otherwise even the best camera can look pretty grainy. Although I would recommend good lighting for any camera, not just webcams. For the people who are trying to do animation stuff, you'll want a drawing tablet. I personally use either a Huion Canvas GT221 Pro or a Gaomon PD1560. Both of these are drawing monitors. I'd 100% recommend a drawing tablet, but if you're just getting started, don't get something expensive. There's no need to. As long as it draws, you're good. You could start with a mouse, but that's a painful experience I do not recommend. The tablets I've reviewed are all pretty good and I would recommend them. Also, Gaomon is currently running some sales, so if you wanted to check out the ones I reviewed, plus their other ones, I got you covered. There's info about that stuff in the description. For audio, I use a pair of Skull Candy headphones that were on sale, but as long as you've got something that's decent, you should be okay. The only advice I have for you is to make sure whatever pair you get is really comfortable. Editing takes a while, so don't make it a painful experience. You'll have to wear your headphones for a long time. Any fairly decent computer should be good enough to produce videos, but some programs take more to run than others, so keep that in mind. Also, operating system matters. Windows and Mac people should be covered, but if you're using a Chromebook or Linux, I'm sorry, I don't have much I can help you with. Some extra little equipment things I'd recommend picking up but aren't required: a pop filter, some acoustic foam, and a mic arm. These will take your audio to the next level, but I wouldn't buy them right away. For my gaming people, if you want to record some games, I'd recommend getting an Elgato. I've used it before, and it's pretty reliable, so I'd recommend it. Now on to software. To animate, personally, I use a combination of Sci 2 and Premiere Elements to make my videos. If I were you, I wouldn't use the same thing. Sci 2 is an excellent program, but wasn't designed for animation. You don't have any way to preview what you make, and exporting every single frame takes forever. Instead, I'd recommend Fire Alpaca or Krita if you're doing the same style as what I'm doing. Both are free and have animation functions. Krita even has the ability to animate with sound, which is something I've only recently discovered. Another drawing program I think is great is Clip Studio Paint. It has a lot of features but costs money and has tier levels for price, so keep that in mind. If you want to have fluid motion or just a better time overall, there are some old but completely free versions of Flash floating around on the internet, as well as a program called OpenTunes. I'm not sure if these options are available to Mac users. These programs are made for animation, but the reason I personally stopped using them is because OpenToonz didn't want to export for me anymore, and then the older version of Flash crashes constantly for me. Keep in mind that both of these programs are buggy as heck. OpenToonz will be updated, but Flash won't. OpenToonz is also a powerful tool, but it's complicated. Even I had issues figuring it out. If you're willing to shell out some cash, Adobe Animate, aka the newest version of Flash, and Toon Boom are great options. As a student, I can get fairly steep discounts on these, so you may want to look at that. I also have friends who use Adobe Character Animator, which is a pretty new animation tool. All of those programs are available for Mac. As far as video editing, Premiere Elements is what I use. Most other YouTubers I know use Premiere Pro, which is like my program's older, better brother. The benefit to using Elements is that it's way easier to learn, and you only have to pay for it once rather than paying monthly like you do with Pro or other Adobe apps. The downside is it has less features, and it's not updated year to year. If you're looking for free video editing, my personal recommendation is HitFilm 4 Express. It, in my opinion, is the best option for free. There's also Windows Movie Maker. It's not the best, but it's the most widely available. Some really good stuff can be made with Movie Maker if you know how to use it. I've linked some videos and tutorials for that in the description. To record, I use Audacity. It's free, and there are tons of tutorials on how to use it. There's also the option of recording in Adobe Audition. I personally don't know anything about it, but I'll find a tutorial for you. Link to that in the description. I actually have a list of processes I run all of my audio through. I use that as reference all the time, and I also send it to others. It's how I get my audio from sounding like this to this. It should be a guide easy enough to follow if you're new to Audacity, but if revision is needed, I'll totally do that. It's in the description if you need it. For live streams and recording screens, I use OBS, otherwise known as Open Broadcast Software. It's also free. The last thing you'll need is something to write a script with. It's honestly the most important part. There's not really a strict format you need to follow since this is most likely just for you, but if someone else is going to need to spend time looking at it, you want to make things as clear as possible. Label parts, and keep spacing clear and organized. I simply use Google Docs to write scripts. Google Docs is great since you can easily share scripts with friends and get their critique. Scripts are also incredibly important. Do not wing it. Know what you're talking about. Not many people are interested in silences and listening to and uhs. If you really don't want to script something, at least make bullet points. You don't want to ramble. Okay, hopefully I haven't lost you all yet. Now we're gonna get to the process of making a video. So here's the thing. I'm not someone who typically edits just video, so I'm not really gonna know what you're looking for specifically when it comes to a regular video editing tutorial. So instead, I've linked some in the description for that. For the rest of you, I'm gonna show you how I personally animate. Keep in mind that this is far from the most professional way to do it, but it works. I'll show it to you twice, once in my video editing software, and once in Windows Movie Maker. If you're using another program, don't worry, I've linked some general editing tutorials there, but the concept should remain the same. For the sake of this tutorial, we're going to make my character change positions and blink. First, we're going to look at how I have my character set up. This is kind of the poor man's way to rig up a character for animation. Normally, you'd do something like this in Flash or Toon Boom, but this is the cheaper way that can be done in any regular drawing program. I have layers grouped in folders, and each folder is a type of body part. Here's what my layers look like. So what we're going to do here is export a series of pictures in the order that we need them to show up. So we'll manipulate this rig in each pose and export that, one at a time. I typically make a new folder for each animation and label my frames. So for this, we'll call each frame T1, T2, T3, etc. T standing for test. In Premiere, it's pretty easy to sync up how long you want each frame to last since you can drag it out. In Movie Maker, you'll have to individually input each time. This will take a while, so please keep this in mind. In Premiere, you can have layers of video, and I typically like to utilize this when I have a lot happening in a scene. For example, when I made my roommate's video, the scene where my roommate kicks open the door is comprised of more than one layer. My roommate with the background is one layer, and then myself is the foreground. Ta-da! Now we have our character moving. Every program exports video differently. so it's impossible for me to tell you how to do that. And there we have it. That's how my video making process typically goes. Now, for me personally, the amount of time I spend on videos varies a lot, one to the next. My Valentine's Day video, which was my last video at the time of recording, I spent about 40 hours editing it total, and then other videos can take upwards of 70 or more. Anyways, I hope that helps you guys. Thanks for watching, and have a nice day.